there's always Ratzi V'Shuv, right? There's always Ratzi V'Shuv. So in that regard, it's a classic Parshas Para Maamar. It's a classic Zois Chukas HaTorah, right? And it's brought in the Maamar, the Rebbe has many Maamarim on it. Where it goes back to the Torah of Parshas Chukas. They ask the Shaila, why is Para Aduma Zois Chukas HaTorah? Zois Chukas HaPara. First of all, why is Bechal Chukas? Fine. Why is it Chukas? Because it's Mamish Chukah, right? M'tayr Satmeim. They bring the beginning of the Maamar by us. M'tayr Satmeim, Tam Setoirim, and all the different interesting parts of it. So it's Chukak, Gzei Bedarti. So we call it Chukah, and it's not Stama Chukah. It's a very, very unique Chukah. Right? In different sichos, Rebbe explains that there's Eidos Chukim and Mishpatim. So Mishpatim, we understand them, it makes sense. Eidos, we not necessarily would come up with it on our own, but it's a sort of a certain zeicher. There's some tradition there. We couldn't make sense out of it. And then Chukas is the chayra nonsensical. There's no hasbara. But Bazeg Gufa, you could split it into two dargis, two ifanim. There's things that just have no hasbara, and then there are things that are heipech haseichel. Sometimes they're called gzeiris. Heipech haseichel. Not only I can't give you any hasbara. Why? What's the problem with Shabbos? Or what's the problem with whatever? That's all you does. This is what David wants. Then there are things which don't make any sense. How does that work? Right? There's certain things here that don't make sense. So it's not stam chukah, it's zeis chukas. So the shaila is, why is zeis chukas HaTorah? So one has bar that's brought in Chassid, zeis chukas HaTorah is, this is the ultimate chukah. Right? You have a Maamar, a Mugdik Maamar, look at hey, zeis chukas chavtes. Right? There's two Maamar chavtes. You'll be stam zeis chukas and tefillah Moshe. You get off Nissen Maamar. Did ever get off your Nissen? So Zois Chukas, you have this in, right? This is the ultimate Chukah. It's almost like the Eibusher chose one out of the Taryag mitzvahs that should be the ultimate Chukah, and this teaches us that all the mitzvahs be'etzem are Chukim. That's one inyan. But another inyan is, why is this Chukah Torah? Why does this personify the Chukah of Torah, the essence of Torah? And this word is brought in the Kovetz Torah, that at the core of Torah mitzvahs is Ratzi V'Shuv. That's what Yiddishkeit is. Yiddishkeit is Ratzi V'Shuv. You'll see this in every single area. And Para Aduma brings out Begoloi this concept of Ratzi V'Shuv. But there you have to start going into, there's the Kavanas HaMitzvahs, and then there's the Siyas HaMitzvahs. There's the Pnimius HaInyan, the Chetzenis HaInyan. But here in the Etzem, the basic mitzvah, in the halachas of the mitzvah, you see very clearly Ratzi V'Shuv. How do you see Ratzi V'Shuv in Para Aduma? Mayim and the Eish. Mayim and Eish are the ultimate Ratzi V'Shuv. Fine. So in our Mayim Rebbeker goes in this cab, which is the Mayim and Kovetz Torah, then it could have Ratzi V'Shuv, and he does a very interesting, a very geshmaka job. It goes through, right, brings it. What are the different inyan that he brings the Ratzi V'Shuv in Torah? The Ma'ilo Mata Ratzi V'Shuv. We have Atik and Zah. Like Torah, the way it's Shashuim Lefon of the Tainig of the Eivish there, it's even Moisef in Tainig Lamaila. And that when we see the in Torah, Pasha learning, Pasha the Torah Dalamata. Mitzvahs, on the one hand, you have, what's the core of a mitzvah? Asher Kichanu, Mitzvahs Vitzivanu, the ultimate Bittul, L'Ratzin, Bittul, Bala that even precedes, he calls even higher than Torah. That's the Yisoid of Gans Yiddishkeit, that Pasha the Bittul to the Eivish there. On the other hand, what is a mitzvah? A very gashmistic pashta mitzvah. You speak out a mitzvah, there's two elements here. There's that deep pnimistic bittul that exemplified in a mitzvah, and then there's ma'isa mitzvah, very pashta mitzvah. Then he goes more generally, Ratzi V'Shuv. In the person, in Avodas Ha'adam, he breaks it down. First of all, there's Nefesh Elokis, Nefesh Bahamis. Nefesh Elokis is Oila L'mayla, Nefesh Bahamis, Yerezi L'mata. So just in their Teva, the way they function, you have a Ratzoi and a Shuv, and our Avodah is to merge the two together, Nefesh Elokis, Nefesh Bahamis. Then he says, in the Nefesh Elokis Gufa, there's Ratzi V'Shuv. What's the Ratzi V'Shuv in the Nefesh Elokis Gufa? So he says, it's interesting Oisius, he says that the the regel of the neshama, right, the lower level of the neshama is slavish beguf. That is what's the meaning of shuv, and that direkt zechois in this inyan as nasa etzli oil mis pshitus velikus bischachos. And then you have the higher level neshama, calls it here the masal shem neshama. He doesn't answer tight choice, but it seems that the vart is that this is taka in the mazlayu chazi there it's elikus pshitus velikus bischachos. Right, so that itself, so that part, so this, never mind that we're constantly living with a balance of nefesh elikis, nefesh bahamis. In the nefesh elikis gufa, we have two realities: oilmes v'pshitus, or elikus v'pshitus.
We always say that it's the neshama.
That what? Oilmes v'pshitus. So interesting. You see, look over here. He brings he's mitzayim. What's mitzayim when he speaks about this? It's Stalin Ayin Beis and Tavshin Tesvav. Right, so this sugya in Ayin Beis, it's Yadua as the Rebbe's bar mitzvah hemshech. Right, the Rebbe's bar mitzvah was Friday. The Rebbe's bar mitzvah was on Friday. Yidal Fnis and Tafresh Ayin Hey. The Rebbe was born on a Friday. Bar mitzvah I believe was on a Friday, and that week was Tzav. So that Shabbos was Tzav, and then the following week, the Matzazu. So though there in Ayin Beis, it's the middle of Ayin Hey. Ayin Hey is the 1 year in Ayin Beis that there's Maamarim the entire year. Usually, Ayin Beis starts in Ayin Beis, Ayin Gimel, Ayin Dal, and Ayin Vav. So the Seder B'derech in Ayin Beis is there's Maamarim till the beginning of the winter, either Parshas Vayera one of the years, Parshas Vayeshev one of the other year, Ayin Gimel, Ayin Dal. That's like one mini hemshech from Shavuos till till fall, winter. More. Then the Rebbe Rashab left Lubavitch, so he wouldn't say Maamar of Hemshech Ayin Beis when he was out of Lubavitch. And then the next Hemshech starts Shavuos. Shavuos Ayin Daled, Ayin Gimel is the next Hemshech, goes weiter till Cheshvan Berech, and then it stops. And then the next Hemshech starts Shavuos Ayin Daled. Shavuos Ayin Daled and goes till the end of Ayin Daled. And the whole Ayin Hey, the Rebbe Rashab was in Lubavitch, so there's Maamar throughout the whole year. And then till Cheshvan Ayin Vav, when the Rebbe Rashab left Lubavitch, and that's in the ultimately later was the end of Simchas Mimah, but that's where it's Ayin Beis. He stopped saying Ayin Beis once he left Lubavitch. That's why it's cut in the middle, and the rest he just wrote. It's Chelik Shaloi Nemar, because Ayin Beis was only said when he was in Lubavitch. That's very unique about Ayin Beis. So, in middle of Ayin Beis, in Nisan, so there's the starkest sugya there of Tzimtzum, whatever, the regular Inyanim there of Ayin Beis. But here in those Maamarim, start then around the Yidal Nisan, there's a big shturim about neshamis. Neshamis, the Baizei is the tachlis of those neshamis that even dolamata are elikus b'pshitus elamis v'yischachos. And the ultimate goal of going into Elam Hazeh, and the ultimate is hapche. Is hapche chashechel and hoyer, that the choshech itself, choshech atzma yoyer. That's the sugi of Ayin Hey. Choshech atzma yoyer. Which is many Maamar the Rebbe has been used on those Maamarim, etc., etc. One of the times the Rebbe chazer those Maamarim, as is the Rebbe's own hemshech, was so that was Ayin Hey, Tavshin Tesvav. That's 40 years later. Right, so 40 years later, Achron Shal Pesach and Parsha Shmini Tavshin Tesvav, the Rebbe chazered and could of those Maamarim, and the Rebbe said there are very interesting words. This is V'nigla Tavshin Tesvav. In that Maamar, the Rebbe says, it's Miyos and Ayin Beis. The Rebbe says there's a difference between the Avis and Moshe Rabbeinu. That the Avis, no matter how great they were, Isaiah is given Oilemis v'pshitis elikus b'yischachos. Oilemis v'pshitis elikus b'yischachos. And Moshe Rabbeinu, by him, is elikus v'pshitis oilemis b'yischachos. And then the Rebbe added to that. In the Rebbe's Maamar, the Rebbe said, "Al derech zeh Nesiei Chabad." The Rebbe mentioned also Rashbi, possibly, but it's there's Avis and there's Moshe Rabbeinu and Nesiei Chabad. The Vaizei is alikus of pshit tzeilim tzchach. So why is the Avis Eilumis of pshit? It's a pashas. Go to Avraham Avinu. He started off looking at the world. 3 years old, 40 years old, with different opinions. With the Rebbe's Masbir that it was a process. It was 37 till 48 betzim. It was over a 40-year process, right? That he starts off looking at the world. He sees the sun, he sees the moon, right? The story we grew up with. And from there, he realized, Darv Zayin, Balabayz Labirazu. So he found the Eibishter through the world. That's not Eilumis Pshittis. Eilumis Pshittis doesn't mean Kfir B'Achdus Rechman, or it doesn't mean a disconnect from the Eibishter. What it means is that the way we find God is through the world. Meaning, what's our natural intuitive feeling? I exist. It's the Welt, the world that I see. Now you look at the world and you realize, Metzius can't create itself, and everything has to have a mucker, and everything has to have something that's Lashon Rambam, the Galgal is something that's Mesoiv of the Galgal, whichever Oishis you'll use. There has to be someone running the show, and it has to come from somewhere. It has to be a source. There has to be a master plan. So you come from the reality you're living in, and from reality you discover the Eibishter. Elikus b'pshitis is verkehrt. Huh? No, so by Avraham Avinu you saw it. By Avraham Avinu you saw that that's the way he started his life, but that was the Yesod. Saying l'chayra, you can figure l'chayra Avraham Avinu didn't start off with a neshama, but once there's a neshama, so it goes to the next office. L'chayra they already have this. I got the kasha.
Well, this isn't the regular show.
Huh?
It's not regular recitation.
Well, once a second. Let's first. So, Elikus b'pshitus means that the reality of this world isn't a given, isn't a davar apashut. Elikus b'pshitus. What do I know exists? The Eibishter. Oilamis, I don't know. Is there a world? Is there not a world? I don't know. I'm really not sure. B'yischadshus. It's nischadish to me that there's a world. How's it nischadish to me? Because Elikus tells me that there's a world. Right? Like the Rebbe said, Viv veisa Yiddish kin, Viv veisa kin, nas da Welt. Bereshis bar Elikim. So your starting point is Elikus, Torah, godly reality. And from there, you're nischadish, nas da Welt. So in our neshama, so there's these two elements. Even in neshama, nefesh alikis, but when you're speaking about the chelik of the neshama, it's a slavish in the guf, with which we call is naran, nefesh ruch neshama. How does naran function? Right? If you try to explain, well, nefesh ruch neshama yechida, what does that practically mean? Other than 5 energies or 5 layers, right? So Chassidus is masvir, and there's actually Maamarim from this kufa, the Purim, the weeks after Purim. The Hemshech Tafresh Pei, and then 50 years later, the Rebbe Hemshech Tafresh Lamed, the 5 layers of the neshama. So nefesh is Beifin Klali Maisa, Achshav Diur Maisa. Ruach is Midas. Neshama is Moiche. And then Chaya Yechida is either Chachma and Ratzin, or Ratzin and Tainog, or then Moiche would be Bina, whatever. There's different Eifan. What does it mean? It's 5 ways, 5 ways of connecting to the Eibishter. Hein taste there's 5 love languages. Yeah, there's 5 Eifanim. If we're talking about in the Neshama, the relationship of a Yid to the Eibishter. So there's 5 Eifanim. So now the 3 lower Eifanim, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. What are they? They are action-oriented. What kind of action? Either I'm doing something, there's a feeling I'm having, there's an idea I'm conceptualizing. But what that means is, while they're all great, I found out to the Eibishter, but what is it saying? It's saying there's me, there's an Eibishter, and I understand him. I have feelings for him. I am doing something for him. I'm thinking about him. So, in other words, that's oilamis v'pshittis. Oilamis in this context would be there's me as an individual, a sense of self. I have my own personality, and now I am now building a relationship, connecting to him. Versus the mazel of the neshama, v'alachas kam kam the yechida, right? There's the neshama that's roya elikus, and then there's the neshama is ein zachmit elikus, right? There you're speaking about a space where it's not something that's mirach, like that has to build a relationship. I have to like work my way back to connect to the Eibishter. I am one with the Eibishter. Or if not on that level of Yechida, at least in Chaya, the Neshama is Zeroya, the Mazel is Zeroya, because it's right in front of me. It's so obvious. It's an experience I'm living with every single day. It's not something I have to work on. The moment you have to work on it, it's Elam and Sipshittis. So the lower level of Neshama in that context would be Shuv. Shuv in a way that it's more grounded. There's, now in a way you could say, forget the fact that I have to go out of myself, connect to the Eibishter, there's the Rotzi, right? So, just making sure that it doesn't say farkeret. Right, but the nekuda is that that part of the neshama is more shuv. It's shuv by me. We're not talking about the avodah right now. That level of the neshama is shuv. It's bislam shus by me. I live with it in my day-to-day life. It's not like I don't have a unique experience. Chaya yechida. It's not something that we live in with our krichas pnimiyim. Not something we experience necessarily moment to moment. We're always experiencing our seichel, our midas, Shavdi Ramaisa, these things that we constantly live with. Chaya Yechida is makif, right? It's more subconscious. It's not necessarily things that we're constantly in tune with. It's something that more you have to put yourself in that space, or go out of your day-to-day regular living. That's more Ratzli. So there's constantly this Ratzli v'shuv. Nefshalik is Neshbahamis, in Nefshalik is Gufa, Nefshalik is Neshbahamis. And one thing that's very clear that he's trying to say in the Maamar is that you're always going to have Ratzli v'shuv in every area of your life, in every area of your avodah, in every part of Torah mitzvahs. There's Ratzli v'shuv. Okay, so how do we deal with it? And what's the Maamar trying to say? Okay, there's Ratzli v'shuv, and that we have all over Chassidus. So what? So very interesting. This is a shtickle. Unless I missed a vart here, but he's trying to say something very, very simple. This is in page 90. It's simple, but it's very profound because it's very important to remember this. And this is the yisoid for being a from Yid and being a Jew in Olam Hazeh. So in the bottom of page 90, okay, so ultimately we have to have Ratzi and Shub. That's what Zeis Torah. That's what makes this mitzvah so unique. It makes it sort of the essential mitzvah that encapsulates the whole point of Torah mitzvahs, Ratzi and Shub. Okay, so how do we do it? How do you do Ratzi v'Shub? It's hard. How much is it? It tells you how do you mechaber, how you be mechaber to inyanim hafchim. You need a koyach shalom ayla mehem. You need right. There's different eights. There's different inyanim.
Never says it's hard. Never says it's hard.
Here, he says a lot of inyanim, but what's in the kud? He says, Oimer zeis chukas zeu inyan kasha. Kasha lezavgom kikriyas yamsuf. Just like yamsuf, that Abishas mechaber yami yabasha. It's hard. Even for the Eibishter Kiviyachol, it's hard. So the same thing here. You want to bring Havaya del Leila and Havaya del Tata, Atik and Zoh, and all these great stuff together. It's hard. Moshe couldn't figure it out, right? There's something hard over here. Which is Gavaldik Gezach. Huh? He's saying Moshe L'chayre he had. So that means like this. You see, the Rebbe brings over here. There's two midrashim, right? The Rebbe says in page 91. There's two midrashim of ultimately did Moshe understand? This in his karkum panos of Moshe. Moshe saw all the different tumas. He's like, okay, that tumah is cool. That tumah is cool. All right, I can figure that out. He saw tumas mes. He's like, okay, we're done. Tumas mes. The guy's dead. Like Chassidus explains. Like a person has this issue, a person has that issue. We have all different klippos. We went through Amalek, Kazacher, we went through all the different upstate. He gets it. Once you see a guy is dead, what's dead? You're disconnected. How do you get out of this? You're stuck. He's like he couldn't see a way out. So there's two different medrashim. In one medrash, the way it comes out is, all it says is, when it came to Parah Adoma, Zutarasai, this is the way it is. You want to know how to take care of para aduma, of tumas mes, and had to be toyer from such a matziv when a person loses his karis, he loses all his chayis, talikus, para aduma. Pregnant kin kashis. But in another place it says, l'chani megala tam para. Don't worry, I'll explain to you tam para. So here the Rebbe doesn't type chasing gansim, but there's a sikha chelik ches, there's a very sort of ara there. The Rebbe says that the word here is l'chani megala tam para. Even Moshe, the greatest chacham, Moshe was chacham dikdusha, l'chani megala tam para. It was a gili when the Eivshar was megala tim tam para. He didn't understand it, which therefore, even though Moshe understood it, who didn't understand it? The chacham mikala adam shleima. Amarti a chachma v'hir chayka mimeni. No, Shleima didn't understand. What? That's what he says here. That's the vart. So it says that even according to the Medrash, l'chani megala tam para, it's l'chani megala. It was a gili milmayla. It's not Moshe Rabbeinu himself was able to understand. He didn't understand it. Therefore, the Rebbe says, "Bazeh you can retire it's the stir between the two midrashim." One is talking about be'etzim he couldn't understand it, but the Eibshter gave him the gili. But Shloimeh was talking about chachmas adam, even the highest level of chachma wasn't able to understand. But what's in the kudah? It's kasha, and this is the vart in the Maamar. What's the vart of the Maamar? What's the whole arichas of the Maamar is? Life is hard. Life is hard. It's like you don't usually have this vart in Chassidus. Usually Chassidus will come and give you an eitzah and give you a hasbara or a idud. Sometimes the greatest idud is, and you see this in the Rebbe's answer sometimes, the greatest idud is, life is hard. Why is it so great? So first of all, forget about idud, not idud. It's the fact of life. First we have to know reality. So many times we take things so hard and we fall apart. Why? Because of expectations. There was, who was it? I think it was Moshe Gerkov. So he was on Shlichus. He was a Yid in Boston. Yeah, many stories with him. But yeah, at one stage, I believe it was him. He came to the Rebbe, major problems, tightness, shlichus going on. Maybe I'm mixing with him. I think it was him. And a whole list of tightness. So the Rebbe told him, Moshe, wenn or sind wannen, wenn we gemacht a contract with the Eibishter, when did we make a contract with the Eibishter that life is easy? And that was it. That was in the Yechidus. That was the vart. So it sounds like, but what's the vart? And when you think about it, you see this in so many letters by the Rebbe, right? Yeah, this is it. The Feirs, we didn't come to Ilam Hazet to have easy lives, and Yiddishkeit was never meant to be easy. It's geschmack, it's emes, it's the ultimate good, but it's not easy. It's kasha. It's the Feirs kasha. So, in general, the balance of life and to keep Torah mitzvahs, but Nachmer, at the core of everything is what? Ratzi v'shuv. And when you think about it, what's the core of life? It brings in the beginning of the Maamar. V'al karcha chata chai, v'al karcha chata meis. Right, the whole story of life is being stuck between a rock and a hard place. V'al karcha chata chai, v'al karcha chata meis. No, so therefore what? Kasha. It's a Feirs kasha. And that's what you're here for. Life and Yiddishkeit will constantly bring you different paradoxes, and you constantly have this tug of war. So v'derech we speak about the tug of war between Nefesh and Bahamas. Here's noch different. You have a tug of war in Nefesh Elikis Gufa. There's the more rational, grounded part of Nefesh Elikis, and there's a more floating part of Nefesh Elikis. A person's let's say in Elikos Pshitas and Eilus Pshitas. What's the difference of Eilus Pshitas and Elikos Pshitas when we talk about Nefesh Elikis? To learn Chassidus, to learn Nigla, to daven, in a real way and understand it, you have to come to Chassidus from a place of Eilus Pshitas. Because if you're coming to a Maamar from a place of Elikos Pshitas, it says, Alt Klar, It's a Talmud Yerushalmi. Everything's clear. It's Yashar. There's no struggle. There's no kashas. There's no tirutzim. Azayah does. So the avodah is, you have to learn chassidus, you have to understand it. Even in chassidus gufa, is we're telling a person, no, you have to be in touch with your very grounded and rational seichel and develop midas. We're trying to develop midas as a human being, what you actually feel, not like what your neshama l'mayla feels. Right? You're talking about things much that, so you have to be in touch in Torah mitzvahs gufa, in chassidus gufa with that part. On the other hand, that's only one half of the story. There's the bittul tuneis in that Torah, right? There's the aleph, there's the aleph before beis. Torah starts with the beis because the aleph that precedes the beis. There's the bittul. There's the ibergebenkeit. There's the likus of chassidus. There's the likus of Torah. Even that itself, it's a struggle. Ultimately, you have to choose a side. No, but the chassidus will come and say, no, I don't want you to choose a side. It's the Zoyis Chukas HaTorah, Yiddishkeit is Ratzi V'Shuv. How do you deal with it? It's shver. And in a way, once you chap that it's shver, and that's the third part of the word here, knowing that it's shver, that itself is the way to deal with it. That itself is the way to handle it. You're coming from a perspective that it's easy, you have to take one over the other. It's kasha. It's a fairness kasha. And when you chap that it's kasha, fine. So, kenazoi, and that's the way koshi works. And then you know kasha comes from, and that's in the chukas. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know if it says it clearly here, but that's the mashmos. That's a chukas, just like chukas Torah. It's not an alien. It doesn't make full sense. It's that's the whole unit of chukah. It comes from the Ritzaini's wife. Yeah.
Just because it's shver doesn't mean you're meant to live in the contradiction.
You are meant to live in the contradiction.
I'm saying that it doesn't necessarily mean that. Like where.
No, but that's what's coming in. Saying where does it say that?
Yeah,
Well, that's the whole Maamar. You're supposed to have both parts of Torah. Torah shel Maila and Torah shel Mata. The etzem of a mitzvah and the gashmis of the mitzvah. Nefesh Elikis, Nefesh Bahamis. The higher part of Nefesh Elikis, the lower part of Nefesh Elikis. Befeirush, yeah. Befeirush, yeah. And what's the yisoid and what's the kav and what's the hasbara? It's kasha. It's very. I was trying to figure out in the mind like what's the eitzah? No, that's the vart. It's kasha. I think in the sikha that follows.
Are you missing something? That's actually what there was said. Is any other mimer that says this?
No, the fact that it's shver, it's not a chiddush here.
I've asked a question and the answer.
And this is the answer. Is that what you kasha?
There's no answer.
That's the answer.
Thompson.
Yeah. It's that's what I'm saying. It's okay, not even fully there. Like, it looks like it's not a fully developed answer, but it seems to me that's the answer. That's the answer.
Let me continue. It's somehow this is Kesser. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, say that the Kesser and Chochma right there. It's the two levels. You have the higher level and the lower level, and the lower level he says that, a very geschmack lashon at the end, that even in Yom was mentarzik mit zayin tvarchet mechas v'shalom, or they're saying even in Yom of Tshuva, Chair was saying ultimately they say don't go to the lower level. That even a person deals on the one hand you don't want the highest dargis, on the other hand a person deals even with the shalosh groups the lowest things. You have Tshuva and you bring and the chibur both in Yonim, and that's why that's also. How do you ask a person side to deal with klippis and tshuva and those in yonim, the lowest things of l'cheira, a yutcha have no shaykhs to? At the same time, erkach and the hechste zachen. It's part of the same koishi.
Over here we're saying the part of even the chaper, even on the shalosh groups to mess.
Shnim shachaf lamata minyan ishtalshlos. I'm saying that's what para aduma does. It tumas mess.
It's the chaper view, but even on the.
It's a concept of tshuva. The kudus seifas apara, and the tshuva that's already going to a much bigger sugya. Part of the chatos, that's the end of the part of the chat, right? That it's mechaper on averis. That's the whole nekuda. That's not. I think it's a very unique vart in a maimer. I never saw something like this, and I think it's a very. I think it's a deep vart. It's a deep vart. Sometimes the answer is it's a shver. You're looking for eitzes and hasbaris and the idud. Acceptance.
Very Breslov.
Very Breslov.